Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are continuing our Super Action Statue JoJo's Bizarre Adventure action figure review series, which is not really a thing, but I will be reviewing a few of these in the coming days because there haven't been enough new things for me to review, and I know a lot of you guys are into JoJo's, and it's continually becoming more and more popular. And I will say, when this whole thing started, I started reviewing JoJo's figures from my friend. I borrowed them. People kept telling me, you need to watch the show, you'll like it. It takes a minute to get used to, but you'll like it. And I have to say, they were right. I did not like it at first. Much like One Piece, I hated it. But as I let it go, I started to like it, and then I grew to really like it by the end. So I think you guys who maybe are on the fence, give it a shot. You might enjoy it. And those of you who already like the series, you're going to like these reviews, so hopefully you are around for them. Anyway, this is a super special version of JOTARO where he is in his different color outfit, different color everything, and it has a special accessory, which is the main reason why I got it, but I also got it because I wanted to have all of the JOTARO figures, and now I do except for 1.5, but I might get that too. Anyway, there's a lot to talk about, sort of, so let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just under 6¼ inches, which makes him pretty close to 15.5 centimeters, and you could probably eke out a little bit more height. I have him a little bit in a stylized pose, so you might be able to push that height just a touch, but that's definitely close enough to give you an idea for the sake of the review. And as you can see, it is the same figure as before, except he's mostly pink and purple. And I won't make any jokes about that because it would be inappropriate, but we do still have a really nice stylized look for the figure. Same as before, other than the coloring, but they did do a really good job with the coloring. The pants and the jacket are shaded very nicely. All of the detail work is really clean. You can see the belt, very nice. And of course, when I zoom in like this, I'm not sure everybody's aware, that's more than you're gonna see with the naked eye. Unless you're really getting in there tight to look at it, you're not gonna see any of the little imperfections that you can notice in the review. It's very clean. You can see the face is super duper, very nicely done. The only real drawback there is to this figure in terms of the aesthetic is he does have interchangeable pant pieces so that you can put his hands in his pockets, and on the edges they don't close perfectly. You can see a little bit of a gap there. You can see it again on this side here, and when you get close you can see that the plastic is not the pink color. There's not paint on the inside of the plastic, but in just a regular pose like on your shelf, you're not going to notice it, so it's not a real big deal. And then we do have the metal chain on here. I didn't mention it. It's kind of obvious though, so that gives it a nice little touch, a little bit of realism. All in all, a really aesthetically pleasing figure. I love that they made the shoes metallic blue. It gives him a really fancy look. I like that. He's got a very stylish school uniform look, and the metallic shoes kind of set it off. So it's definitely a welcomed addition to the collection despite being almost completely pink and purple. So aesthetically speaking, I'm going to give this guy 9 out of 10. It's really good. There's loads of shading. Like, everything on here is shaded. It's very nicely done, and it is a very clean overall release. So that's awesome. Another thing that's awesome, we have a ton of accessories. Now, some of the earlier versions, I think maybe only the original release, had a couple alternate head pieces. This guy doesn't. He only has the one head that comes on him in the package, and one other one with a slightly different face, a little bit more of a stern look. Again, very nicely done. No problems there. For the hands, we have the 2 fist hands which come on him in the package, 2 pointing finger hands, 2 pinchy finger hands, 2 karate chop hands, 2 nubbins that go in his pockets, and then 2 wide open hands. Plenty of options there. We do, as I mentioned, have the alternate front pant pieces, which just kind of give him pockets for the nubbins to fit into. I did talk about that in earlier reviews. If you want to see more on that in detail, you can check that out. Otherwise, it's just pretty much what I described. We do have a display stand, which is the standard Super Action Statue JoJo's display stand, and a few different upright pieces. Some of those upright pieces hold the speech bubbles. We have one which is just like a regular one, and one which is 4-star platinum. And the really special accessory for this guy, or accessories, are the Star Platinum punch effects. I'm going to talk about these briefly because I think this is a really cool thing. And a lot of people don't seem to realize how much accessories like this add value to a figure. And I'm talking about that from a strictly monetary sense. This is super expensive to make relative to regular accessories. This is a big mold, obviously, and it's not an easy mold to produce, and it has to be painted. So this adds a lot of cost to the manufacturer, and if you're not paying more for that figure, you're getting an even better deal. But you are even getting a better deal because this adds tons of versatility to your display. You can add these to the Star Platinum figure, and it gives him that punch effect, which is like basically the most iconic thing that you have for Star Platinum. Now, the really cool thing about these guys, other than they go to the purple Star Platinum, which is, even though it's technically the third, it's like the most iconic one, I think, maybe other than the blue one. The cool thing about these is they have peg holes in the back, and they're basically the same on both sides, so I don't have to show you the one. But we have a peg hole here and here. So on this one, it obviously shifts the hands out a little bit, and you can use it when you have both effect parts going on at once. Or you can put his hand in here and it brings the effect over a little bit farther. So you can basically make it look nice with just one of these if you only wanted him to be doing one fist. Or if you don't want to peg it into his wrist peg, which that's why I don't have his hands on, because I'm going to have a photo like that later. You can just peg it right on there, or you can peg it onto a display stand and leave his fists on and put this out in front of him a little bit more. You get plenty of versatility and just a really, really nice addition to your collection. I think I speak for everyone when I say effect parts, please, for everything all the time. They always are a welcomed addition. So mostly because of these, but also because we have a ton of accessories. This guy gets a 10 out of 10 for accessories. That is a buttload of accessories, and that is a big butt. All right, on to the articulation. Though we've already looked at this figure before, we're not going to spend a ton of time, but I do want to show you in case you missed that one, though I would recommend you check it out. I have reviewed it relatively recently, so it's not like one of those old janky videos from when I didn't know what I was doing. All right, so the neck is on a hinge, but because of his hair going pretty far down the back of his neck, you can't really lean his head back. It does lean forward all the way though, so if you like that, that's good. And you do get your full rotation, so that is fine. For the shoulders, we do have a butterfly joint in there. You don't get a ton of range, but it does afford some, and this is unfortunately one of the problems with the figure. Shoulders aren't great. You're not going to get the arms all the way out to the side. Far enough, most definitely, for most purposes, but they don't have the extended range that you would expect from a traditional shoulder. You do have your full rotation, though it is going to be at a slight angle. You do have that, and you do have technically a bicep swivel out of this top shoulder joint, though it is very minimal. You have a double ball hinge elbow, which is nice because you get really good range for the elbow itself. Wonderful range, but you can also use that as your bicep swivel. And mine's stuck, but it does work. Take my word for it, it'll work. Hopefully yours isn't as stuck. Go back to my Silver Chariot review. I talk about why sometimes the joints are stuck on these figures. Then we have a ball hinge wrist, which is perfectly good, plenty of range there. For the torso, we have a few different ball pegs. One for the boobages, one for the rib cage, and then one down here at the happy place. So you can move him around pretty well. Of course, his jacket will get in the way some. This bottom one is actually not a ball peg, I think. I think it's just a rotation. That's what it feels like. So swivel, ball peg, plenty of range. And then you do have a hinge for the jacket, which will help for some posability and some style poses, I guess, where it's supposed to look more windswept. Now for the hips, it's a very dated style. It's not great. I definitely don't like it. I'm going to pop this off so I can show you a little bit better. And that does give you a look at the incorrect coloring on the inside, which you can kind of peek through the cracks. His hips have vertical hinges. So technically you have the range. Oh, this one just doesn't really want to go. So you're supposed to have the range. I don't know why this one doesn't want to go, but you have to really rotate the hips around and finagle them. Like, you can't move them out to the side at all right now. You have to rotate the whole thing either in or out, whichever is the right way, depending on how you have it posed. And then you can bring the leg out to the side, but this one's really stuck. So I'm just going to consider the hips a loss on this figure. They're not great. Oh, I think it's because it's backwards. Well, I'll mess with that later. But yeah, I'm going to just consider the hips a loss. They're not great. It'll be enough. He's not supposed to be in like crazy poses, so it's okay. But on paper, it's not. Objectively, it's not. It's not a good hip situation. For the knees, we have a ball hinge, so it'll rotate at the top. Regular hinge at the bottom, so no rotation there. And you don't really need the rotation anyway, but you do get really, really good range. So that is very nice. And then for the ankles, you have a ball hinge, which provides enough range. Like I said, this guy's not supposed to be doing anything crazy, but you can rotate it and get a superb ankle rocker, or just leave it in place and have your standard hinge. And then you do get a toe hinge, which is useless and sucky. So again, as I've said about almost all of these guys, their strong point is definitely accessories, and I guess two strong points, accessories and aesthetic. Articulation's not great. It's good enough, I'll give it a 7, but the figure overall definitely gets higher marks for accessories and for the aesthetic. I don't know anybody that doesn't like the way these look. They look just like they're supposed to, and they're usually pretty well executed. So I'm gonna give this guy a final verdict of, I'm gonna just go 8, because the articulation is relatively limited and these are action figures. Despite that being their direction, it's still technically a problem. So even though we got a 10, for the accessories, and I think did I say 9 for aesthetic? I'm not sure, but either way, we're gonna go 8 for the final verdict. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, bummer, you already watched it. If you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos up just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.